Hello. I'm just so tickled by the screen capture software. I decided I would just make another video for funsies. So Chris just told me that he uploaded his Dropbox files, and I've heard that before. So I'm gonna send him a quick little jab. I've heard you sent. I'm gonna just misspell it all bad. Them before no high hopes. Haha. Okay. Let's go ahead and open up Dropbox and see what we got here. I don't like this Dropbox applet. I always open File Explorer. It's way easier to like copy and paste. Okay, audio. Oh, there they are. Hot dog. Well, see, he's gonna make me a liar. All right. Let's do date created. Okay, so these top three were made on the 16th. Copy those, and I bring them offline into my own file here. Nice. Basically, I asked Chris to break his parts into separate stems. That way I can do panning and I can compress them different, and I'll show what that looks like. All right, we'll give him a little credit. He needs those morale boosts. Okay, so we'll pop open Ableton here. There we go. And it's not the right show file. It's a different one. So opening. Just thinking about it. Now, I'd really like to have like a tower computer with just all the power, but I find being able to do everything on the laptop that we use for live is nice because it's too much of a hassle to transfer show files back and forth if you're going to use this for a live rig and use it for recording. It's just easier to do it on one. He says as he's not able to expand the window. Okay, so here's his original guitar track, and I like that it has 3 lanes in Ableton already set up, so I'm just going to go ahead and delete this. And we'll use the top lane for his lead. So Command Control R, lead, guitar. And we'll go ahead and bring that over. So lead, drop him in. And we're going to turn warp off. We talked about that in the last video. And I'm going to try to drag this to the left. And I can see that it's all the way to the left. So I think that's supposed to be lined up, but we'll find out. First, we'll get all 3 clips of his lined together. So that was Strat lead. Now we have Strat rhythm. So drop that in. And it says pan. So I'm assuming this is a stereo left-right mix with some panning that he likes. And if he did do panning, then we'll probably leave the guitar track dead center. So you see what warp's doing here? It's putting all these warp markers on every transient, which is like a downbeat, and it's trying to snap those to the grid. And there's a couple ways to warp. You can warp with beats. Typically, when you're doing an instrument, though, you'll use Complex Pro. It uses more computing power, but it actually sounds better. But in this case, we're not going to use warp at all. And you notice when I unchecked it, all the clips jumped over. So we'll go ahead and make sure. See that? See how that jumped? Let's undo that. So when I unchecked warp, it looked fine. But when you grab it and pull it, there was still stuff that was being hidden. So do that on both ends. And now I line it up with his other one. Okay, so now you see these are lined on both sides. All right, and let's do the last one. So I'm guessing clean bridge. We'll just drop that in. I'm assuming that's bridge pickup and not bridge of the song. But nope, bridge of the song. See the little stubby end right there. All right, we'll decheck warp and see how that jumped out. And I'm betting there's some hidden on this side as well. There is. Okay, so that fell kind of in the bridge right there, but I already suspect because those notes don't start right on the bridge that maybe these aren't exactly lined up. So let's give it a listen and see what we hear. And we'll start We'll do it like right here in the intro. Kinda loud. To me, that doesn't sound right. That's where he started last time. You notice how it didn't? Even though these are lined up, it's not starting correctly. So we're just gonna line up the first one and then line the others up to it. So I think he wants to start right here. Let's just listen. Yeah, I think so. So let's just drag it over one. So it looks like it was just one measure, maybe. Let's listen to it. That sounds right. Okay, so we'll drop this one over as well. This one over as well. Just interesting little artifact there. Okay, so now let's critically listen and see how the waveform is. Kind of looks like it doesn't start right on the one. You see here's the one and it starts just a little bit to the right. And I'm also curious about this Strat Rhythm pan, so we're gonna solo it and just listen to that and see what's going on there. You notice how these start at different times. So let's solo this guy. Actually, instead of soloing it, let's just check the first guitar so we only hear it. That actually sounds intentional. It sounds like he might have had like a quick little upstroke intro into that downbeat. Yep, sounds right. All right, let's bring that volume up. Okay, let's listen to those two guitars together. So we'll solo them. So I'm clicking the first one, holding Control or Command, clicking the second one. Press solo and it'll solo the two together. Sounds nice. Okay, and let's look at this bottom one here. So this one doesn't actually come into the bridge, so let's just go over to the bridge and make sure that it sounds good where it is. We'll unsolo these. It's gone now, Lord, oh, I am unworthy. Bring this volume up really quiet. So in the case of this being super, super quiet, part of that is because what I have going on here, this guitar, and this guitar are going to be treated separately. So right now they're all being sent to the band mix. And what that is down here, I have a track called band mix. And this is just a bus. So instead of these being sent to the main output, which is down here, these three are first being sent. These three are first being sent to here. This is being sent to the master. So what that does is, if you look on the band mix bus, is what it is really, and we look at the effects down here, I click on the effects that I have assigned. I have a compressor assigned to this bus, and this compressor is sidechained to vocal 1, which is right up here, vocal 1. And so what that does is when vocal 1 has a signal, basically when Rebecca is singing, this meter will rise, and that's the amount of compression being applied to the band mix. And that's a long way of describing just a very simple effect that we want to happen. I want the instruments to be loud and full, and when Rebecca sings, I want the volume of those instruments that are, filling up the room with space to be kind of squashed down a little bit. I want the vocal to punch through, so that vocal will compress the band mix bus. But the reason I asked Chris to break out the lead guitar separate is sometimes it's beneficial to have the lead guitar not even go to the band mix, but go straight to the master. So in essence, this is bypassing that compression. And, I like to treat the lead guitar almost like another singer. And so you have a lead vocalist and then you have a lead guitar. And both of them deserve kind of a front position in the mix. So this Strat Rhythm and this bridge are likely going to keep going into the band mix because if we listen to just the Strat Rhythm, let's just solo it. Sounds nice, but it's also full of, it's a lot of sound. So for the vocal to jump through all of that, without having to automate the volume. You know, you can like put in volume automation to like bring it down manually. We'll just let the vocal compress it. Every time the vocal comes through, it compresses it. And so I'll give you a demonstration of what that looks like on this track. So we'll find a place where Rebecca's singing, like, and Chris is playing. So here's a place where this is instrumental. Here's a chorus. Okay, so we know she's singing right here. See good singing audio, and let's just loop it. Okay, loop it. And we'll just solo the vocal, and we'll solo his guitar. Okay.
King of creation, crucified, while we were counted.
And if we look at the compression on the band mix, see how that compressor is reacting to her voice. So every time she sings, about 5 decibels of guitar is compressed. And really everything in the band mix. So if I turn this off, let's start it over here. All right, so no compression. Now I'm gonna turn it on. Off. Okay, so it's kind of subtle, and you can adjust how much that affects, but I think that's a good amount. Let's see what Chris said. Oh, there's Matt asking about video chat. Okay. Good thing I have a work chat that's separate, and sometimes it's extremely vulgar. So I'm glad you guys weren't privy to that. Okay, but the lead guitar, we don't want the lead guitar to get squashed down by the lyrics. And so actually I don't even think it's going to be an issue, because if we look, here's a lead guitar section right here, and there are no vocals. Same with here, lead guitar section, just in the instrumental. There's a little bit of vocal right here. So let's hear how that sounds. So the lead guitar is going to the master bus. These two guitars are going to the band mix. So let's listen to the instrumental right where the vocals start. Solo this here. I'm actually surprised I didn't pop out as much as I thought it would. Oh, see what it is here? I have this turned off still. Let's turn that back. I bet it's gonna be way too loud now. There we go. And I think it's good to have, you know, in the case of an instrumental where she's kind of just riffing vocally, it's okay, in my opinion, to have the lead guitar almost matched volume-wise, you know, because it's not a dedicated, it's not a verse or a chorus where you're exclusively focused on the lyrics. This is an instrumental. And so it's almost a call and response, or a joining together of vocal riffing and guitar riffing. So what I'm listening for, because I don't think really anywhere else in the song, if I'm not mistaken, is there is on the outro as well. But this is also going to be kind of like a vocal riff. So let's just listen to the outro as well. So I kind of want them to be equal in intensity. Okay. Another thing I want to listen to real quick. I want to solo this. I want to solo the Strat rhythm and listen to how the panning is done. You might hear the volume pumping. That's because it's being compressed. Even though with this channel we can't hear it, the compressor's reacting to those peaks. I don't think there'd be a terrible. I don't think there'd be a bad thing if we panned this a little bit, even though there's already panning. Having it a little bit to the left or the right might be good for the lead guitar to stick out a little bit more. So what I'm going to look for right now is the background vocals and see how I have them panned. So they're 15 and left and right. This one's a little bit hotter. So since this is to the left, I might make the rhythm guitar go to the right. I'll have it go 15 to the right. And we'll just take a listen. Okay. Unsolo. Actually, let's just listen to these two together. So this rhythm guitar, let's just look at the EQs we have set here as well. So on the lead guitar, let's go ahead and put a loop over the two of these. This would be a good section to just kind of hang out on. The lead guitar has a boost dip in like the 10 kilohertz. I don't even know if that's actually making a difference on the way that it's like the patches that were used, but the goal is that we give the lead guitar some frequencies, featured frequencies, that are not featured in the other guitar, and the opposite being true. So in the rhythm guitar section, you notice we're featuring like this like 400, 500 mid-range, and obviously rolling off a lot of the bass and rolling off some of the really high stuff because remember, we've got lyrics happening, we've got lead guitar happening, a lot of stuff's happening in this area, so we don't need to just throw a bunch of guitar in there as well. But let's look at the lead guitar. The lead guitar does have more frequencies there, however there's a slight dip, just because there's also vocals there as well in like the between 3 and 5. However, the vocals shouldn't have a bunch of frequencies up here, especially because I think I'm using a de-esser and some other stuff. But let's just listen to these two guitars together. All right. Let's hear what we're missing here. A little bit of that. What are we getting? Kind of that. If I turn this off, I might actually boost the gain on this EQ. I like to sweep the frequencies around, see how they interact. All right, let's listen. Oops. Let's adjust this one. So maybe we don't like this frequency here. Maybe we like this here. I think I like that. So not a lot of things sound good between like 6 and 800 hertz. That's usually like 600 hertz, 300 hertz. Those are kind of the boxy, annoying frequencies. So the fact that this sounds nice to my ears in that frequency range is awesome because there's a lot of the EQs and a lot of the other channels have that brought down a little bit. And so there's already a sweet spot for it to sit in and stand out on its own. So let's notice it really seems to pop. Like it's just a pleasant frequency range. This right here, maybe not so much. Remember, there's a lot of bass guitar going down here, though. This is like lead guitar and vocal territory, so we're not going to get too much in there. And then I don't think we need a little bit too much of that high frequency. Okay, so let's listen to the lead again. So that right there, 4 kilohertz, very, like our ears are tuned up in that 3, 4, 5 area. So I just bring like that really steely sound. Might just come down just a little bit. Let's see if we can get any of the, I don't know if we can, any of the airy frequencies on the top. So sometimes, depending on the patch that's used, you can really use a high shelf and boost some very discrete, very, very high frequencies that add kind of that special sauce, like sparkle, but it's not painful. Really, the place where you're going to get a lot of ear fatigue is in this 2, 3, 4, 5, this area right here really hurts. And so what I'm trying to do is we want this to poke out and to be featured, but not to be painful. And remember, we might actually put a little bit of a dip here in the 600 area because that's where we're featuring the other guitar. So let's play around with it a little bit. Notice how that hurts. We can come down. But come up. Hear that? That sounds a little bit more sparkly, but it doesn't really hurt. These ones hurt. Okay. Let's hear them together. So we'll select these two. Let's run this one up the middle instead of the 15 to the right. I'm gonna boost the gain on the rhythm. Okay, so we've been basically soloing guitars. So now we're gonna listen to it in the mix, shake it off, and see if we've actually mixed the guitars too hot. So we'll listen to just a little bit before Rebecca's outro. So like right here at the end of this chorus, right before the lead guitar comes in. So next you might come down on the lead just a little bit. And I can still hear that. Okay. The reason I focused on this section of the song is it's really, and right here. These two sections right here and right here are the sections where we have overlap of vocal, lead, and rhythm, all three components coming in pretty hot. So I think if there's any part of the song that's going to be muddy or troublesome, that's going to be it. Not going to focus too much on it tonight. I got other things to do. Get my daughter up and do some stuff. But for now, I think that's, let's just listen to a couple other sections, and then I'll post it. Let's see. Let's listen to the right here where he comes in on the intro. Both guitars coming in at the same time on the intro. Let's hear how that sounds. We'll turn it up a little bit. One thing I noticed is when I'm looking at, so if I move this to the side and I look at the mixer, the output of Ableton is basically maxing out the input of the mixer, meaning like this track is screaming loud. So we might actually bring this down just a little bit. And it's really when the guitars come in, and it could be, let's see what happens. So one thing we could do is we could take a look at the master bus where we have a limiter and we have a compressor on the master bus. So this rack volume is the master's volume. So we might actually bring this down a little bit and watch over here as we're bringing down the rack volume of the master. Okay. So when you listen to this right here is about the heat of a regular produced album. You never see it hit the ceiling on the input of a channel on a USB return. It should be, and this is really our dynamic range of the song. So in a verse, we're down here at -12, and then at our high points, we're up here between -6 and -3. So between here and here is the dynamic range of this mastered, I'm not a mastering engineer, but the master bus, that's the dynamic range we're getting out of it. So let's just go look one more time at the outro. This is the other loudest part of the song. Okay. And the last thing to look at is because, I brought down the volume of the compressor on the master, we want to we don't want the mix to be squashed. So we still want to hear the kick drum punching through. And I do. I do notice, though, that her vocal is getting buried on that chorus. So so here's the chorus, and I'm burying it in this strat. So let's listen to those together. Okay, so I'm gonna go to the EQ and bring this down, because even though this is going to the band mix, which is down here, the compression wasn't helping it enough. Let's try one more time. Let's listen to that again. Might need to come up just a little bit. Okay, now let's listen to it with the outro. Might bring the lead down just a little bit. Nice little fade out there. That's nice. Okay, let's listen to the intro one more time, and then we'll post it. Are you having fun? I'm hoping you're having fun. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody tonight on the video chat.
To save all those and me, the wretch that I am. You didn't care we were broken. You ransomed our souls anyway. Your eyes hold only compassion.
We might bring the vocal up just a little bit, but we'll do it with the compressor. So we'll bring up the makeup gain.
You carried a burdens away. King of creation, crucified. While we were counted as free. While we were counted as free. Took our sentence and served.
You hear that? The last thing I like to do sometimes before posting a track is listen to it at low volume, because I don't remember where I read it, but somebody said if the mix sounds good at low volume, that's sometimes a good test, because there's like a psychology that goes on. When you hear things loud, you assume it's better. So I'm just gonna listen to it at low volume. Like, do I still hear the bass guitar? Do I still hear the kick drum? Can I still hear the guitars? Do the vocals stand out above everything? I actually think the drums might be a little loud, which is weird for me to say. That lead guitar jumps right out at you, which is nice. So the lead guitar, I noticed, the lead guitar has the intensity right now in the mix of a chorus at loud volume from the vocal side. So you'll notice the lead guitar stands out a lot more than the verse vocal. So listen to that real quick. So one thing I might do is you're noticing these waveforms here in the verses, pretty small compared to these chorus ones, which are pretty large. And if we look at, let's just solo the vocal for a second. If we look at the verse, there's barely any compression happening. On the chorus, still not a lot of compression happening. Maybe between what, like 2 to 3 decibels. So what I might do is actually compress more, which is going to squash the chorus down in comparison to the verse, and then bring them both up together. So I want to see a little bit more compression on the verse side, actually, and a lot more compression on the chorus side. So bring this threshold down. Okay, so now we're getting up to about 5. And if we look at the chorus, between 5 and 10. Okay, and so now we'll bring up the makeup gain to about just under 10, which is because that's about the max we were compressing, and that should really make the verses louder, but closer to the loudness of the chorus. And if you don't trust your ears, you can actually watch how high it's jumping on the USB return while it's playing. So we're hitting just below 12. And go to the chorus, just below 12. So dynamically, right now the verse is pretty darn close to the chorus dynamically. So let's hear how it sounds in the mix. Maybe that's a good thing, maybe it's not.
You know the hearts of all men, but still you chose to save
I think that sounds nice. It's more in the front now. Now let's go to the chorus. I actually think that's pretty nice. I think that was a good ad. So the things that are working for us right now to how the vocal pop, one is we're using a compressor on the vocal, as you saw. So we are reducing. You see how big these waveforms are out here compared to these ones over here? Huge difference. And so it basically regulates these and makes them a little bit more even across the playing field. That's one thing we have going for us to make it pop. The other thing is, again, certain instruments are being sent down to the band mix, and that band mix is sidechained to the vocal. So her vocal is squashing certain instruments. So the instruments that are going down there are the background vocals are going to the band mix. That way, when the lead vocal sings, the background vocals get pushed down just a little bit. And then also the acoustic guitar. The drums are not. It actually sounds kind of strange when the drums and the bass get pushed down by the vocal. So they are going straight to the master. Therefore, the bass and the kick drum you really want to be almost constant throughout the mix. You don't want them pumping and pulsing with every word that comes out. The lead guitar is bypassing it. And these two guitars here are going to it. So, oh, look, I got my invite from Brother Matthew, Pastor Matthew. Okay. I think that's it. I'm going to give it a listen. I'm going to stop the recording, and I'll see you guys all on tonight. So thanks if you listen to this. I know we're all stuck in the house and bored, so maybe this is something fun. I don't know. I'll post it up and see what you think. Bye.